I'm going to be doing a lot of talking in this video as well as during the intro, so if you want to skip to where I actually start the map, go ahead to this timestamp right here. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy. Hey everyone, this is Syntax, and today I'm going to be walking you guys through my newest map, Be Home in a Bit. Now the map itself is actually really easy, it doesn't take much of a walkthrough to get through it, but I wanted to make this video to kind of explain some of the deeper meaning behind some of the symbolism you might have missed if you were playing it your first time, second time through, and just a lot of the details that you might have overlooked that could help you understand the story more. It also can be quite difficult to follow if you don't understand what's happening, so I want to cover just a thorough explanation of everything that's happening in this map so you can understand what you're actually playing. First things first, if you have not already read the warning in the spawn room, maybe you're just tuning into this video, it popped up somewhere for you, I want to warn you that this map is heavy. It's pretty emotionally demanding. Even though it is just a Fortnite map, some of the topics addressed in this map could affect certain people more than others, you know, they could directly relate to some of these topics, and if that is you, feel free, you don't have to play the map, or if you're playing it, you can stop at any point you feel overwhelmed. Second thing I want to mention is that I'm going to be doing a lot of talking, because not only am I going to be explaining everything that you might have missed, but I'm going to be reading all the dialogue, because this is a story map, and there's a ton of dialogue in story maps. If you don't like maps where there is a lot of dialogue, probably just don't play this map. This map won't be for you, because there is a lot of reading, because it is a story and I'm trying to convey a point, so if those maps aren't for you, don't play this map. Last thing I do want to say is if you're on a next-gen console like the PS5 or the Xbox One X, I want to apologize for a certain spot in the map because the glare is overwhelming. There's a section of the map where I built a giant room with the white glowing cube from the cube gallery, and because of the way the graphics work on the next-gen consoles, it is extremely bright, and that part of the map is basically unbeatable unless you're following on the tutorial doing the parkour. Again, I want to apologize if you're on the next-gen consoles. I just couldn't change it because it took too much away from the map, and unfortunately you just won't be able to pass that part. I might do something about it in the future, but I do thoroughly apologize. Be sure you read all the stuff in the spawn room. I put basically all the warnings that I've just mentioned up in here. I have a bit of the credits, and then I have a nice quote, but once you're done with that, you can just feel free to start the game. Now, right when you spawn, the house that you spawn in, there is a lot of things that are symbolizing the death of your brother. Sorry if I spoiled it for anyone, but you honestly should have played the map before you watch the video, because it's not that difficult. But yeah, there's a lot of things that represent him being no longer with us. As you know, you play as 3 characters in this game: Zach, who I'm playing as currently right now, Martha, which is the mother, and Simon, which is her other son. Like I said, right now we're playing as Zach, and the first thing you might notice is that all the lights in the house, except for like these lights coming out of the ceiling fans, are turned off. You can see there's just a bunch of empty white sockets that don't have any lights in them, and that is because as of right now, he is not alive. Simon is not alive. Also, I want to point it out, if you missed it, the painting, you can see that the center figure is blacked out because, once again, Simon is not with us, and this is the only house where it is actually blacked out, because if we're in a house, in a different house throughout the map, he is alive, so that's another thing. The last thing I want to mention is that if you can hear it, there is a light buzzing. I'll be quiet for just a sec here. Light buzzing that you hear is also present throughout the map whenever Simon is no longer with you guys. You'll probably hear it frequently when you're at therapy or you're in these certain situations, but that buzzing represents him not being here as well. Anyway, with all that being said, you go up to your mom, it says mom, and then this pops up on the screen. You say there's nothing you could have done, and then you get teleported to this section where your therapist says these couple of things. So Zach, how are you feeling? And then you get brought back to the house and you are in what you're explaining. If you weren't already aware, this whole map takes place while you and your mother are at therapy. So the yellow text is your therapist and the pink text is your mother's therapist, and when they explain the events that took course during this day, you're playing them, you're acting them out. Actually, acting them out isn't really what you're doing, but you're playing them because they're explaining what happened, and this is just you in your memory. So if we go out, we can see Simon is eating his breakfast right here, and we get to talk to him. And you say, still driving all that way for no reason. It's not for no reason, it's for school. You should be going too. Yeah, well, you'll learn the same stuff whether you're in person or not, so true. I guess if I had no friends, I wouldn't go in person either. Yeah, okay, idiot. Boys, cut it out. Zach, eat so you can take your medicine. If you haven't already figured it out, Zach is white text, Simon is orange text and your mother is blue text. And she is also here cleaning the dishes because she already finished her breakfast. Anyway, you can just go up to the croissant and then repeatedly tap to eat your croissant. I believe it's 15 times. And then Simon will ask you, is it an A day or B day for school? And you will respond with, it's an A day. And then you have an option. Simon's going to say, that's what I figured. Okay, well, I'm taking off. See you guys later. And you get these two options. See you later, little man, and have fun, idiot. Now, depending on what you pick here, this will affect a therapy session you have with Dr. James later in the game. So I always go with see you later, little man. But if you pick have fun, idiot, I'll let you guys see that ending for yourselves. In my opinion, it's actually better to pick have fun, idiot, because you get more of a life lesson. But I'm just going to pick see you later, little man. So you pick this, it pops up on your screen, and then your mom says goodbye to Simon, and she tells you to go take your medicine. If you go just away from the table, your medicine can be found in the bathroom over here, and this is the first time that Dr. James or Zach's therapist interrupts him during his story, and you'll see how I represented that real quick here. So take your meds, and when you turn around, you should see this yellow text pop up interfering with your memory. You can see that it pops up. He asks, what kind of medicine was it? And then you get teleported, or you wake up. Not really wake up. You're just back at present time at therapy with Dr. James. So he asks, what kind of medicine was it? And then you answer, you say, I have pretty bad anxiety. And then Dr. James is going to respond with, how long have you had anxiety issues? After he asks, how long have you had anxiety issues? You say, since I was around 14, 15. He's going to take down just a few notes, and then he is going to apologize for interrupting, and you're going to go back to telling your story for what happened that day. Okay, sorry for butting in. Continue when you're ready. You're going to continue, and you will be back exactly where you left off in the bathroom. Although you'll notice your mother has repositioned, you can see she's right here now. Simon must have been in a hurry. He always puts his dishes away. Yeah, he has an earlier class on A days. I'll be surprised if he makes it on time. Don't you boys have the same first period on A days? Yep. Difference is I attend him virtually. Why don't you ever go to class with him? He is your brother, you know. Cuz they give me the option to be online, I'm taking it, no question. Well, I think you should go to school with him tomorrow. You're his older brother, Zach. I really don't think he cares that much, but whatever you say, Mom. I'm gonna go get ready for class. Just knock if you need anything. So this is when you're gonna go into your room and boot up your laptop. But before I do that, I want to explain something that might be a little confusing. For those of you who do not know what A days and B days are, it's a system that my school had where on A days you would have 4 classes and B days you would have 4 classes. So it wasn't like 8 60-minute classes, it was 4 99-minute classes every day. So that's what he means by A days and B days. So yeah, anyway, you walk up to your laptop, turn it on, you're getting ready for class, and this is the first perspective switch to Martha's therapy session. You're gonna see right here, this is her therapist asking, can I get you anything to eat, Martha? You haven't eaten in 48 hours. So now we are playing as the mom. Anytime you get that sort of screen popping up with that black glass right there, you know you're switching perspectives. Or at least it's another way of your therapist intervening. So yeah, we're painting. As Martha, you're just gonna go out and knock on Zach's door and ask him how he's doing. He's gonna say, I'm in class, Mom. I'll be done in an hour. You're gonna say, okay, sweetie, just checking. I'm painting if you need me. So at this point, you're gonna go back into your room, and Martha's therapist, which I believe her name is Dr. Ava Crane, she is going to interrupt your memory, and you're going to explain everything that you remember. So here you go. You walk into the room. You see that her message pops up. She says, I see you're a painter, Martha. Your son says they're lovely. How many of you finished? Now, at this point, when you're playing as the mom, she doesn't respond to anything that Dr. Ava Crane is asking. She just has these ... dots that pop up to represent her being unable to speak. Dr. Ava Crane says, I can't imagine the pain you're in, Martha. I'm so sorry. And at this point, you might be a little lost because you're not exactly sure what happened if you haven't put the story together yet. I mean, I guess there's really no way for you to know, but yeah, she says, I can't imagine the pain you're in, Martha. I'm so sorry. Then you interact again. Of course, you don't say anything. She's going to readjust her position, give you this whole long spiel. Just try and remember what else happened that day. The more I know, the more I can help you. I'll let you gather your thoughts. I'm here for you, Martha. These are all very typical things for a therapist to say when talking to their patients, when they're trying to get them to talk about something, but also make them feel comfortable about talking about it so that they can help them progress with their pain. So anyway, you hit the ... and you're going to return to painting. You'll be back in her room exactly where you left off, and then you need to go knock again. You're gonna ask, is class almost over? He's gonna say, yeah, we just got out. She's gonna say, okay, could you text your brother and ask him when he'll be home? And Zach is going to reply with, my phone's dead, sorry. And then Mom's gonna say, no, don't worry about it, I'll text him. So at this point, you need to go text Simon because I believe it's like 3:30 or something. So your phone's over here on the dining room table. Sorry if you couldn't find it, I just didn't know a good spot to put it. And you're going to text Simon. Once you text Simon, you'll be brought to this intervention screen. Your therapist is going to ask you, do you remember how the conversation went? And now we are playing as Simon. If you get that little noise and text from mom, you will see that obviously you got a text from mom. Right now you're sitting at a stop sign, you're in your truck, there's another person over there, and you just have to answer the text. So when you hit reply, it's going to bring you to this phone screen, and you will see your text from mom says, have you left school yet? So fun fact about this part, you actually type the message out and then send it. I'm going to show you why I did that. Also, another fun fact, depending on how many characters the sentences that I'm typing out is how many times you have to press your interact button. So I believe this first thing is 13 characters, so you have to press your interact button 13 times for it to pop up. I don't actually remember how many characters it is, so it might not be 13, but it's just a little fun fact that I did. So you can see the message pops up there, and then you hit send, and then it pops up on the screen, and then you're going to see that your mom is actually typing, and she's going to send her messages back. First, she will say, okay, see you when you get home, and then she will say, love you. Now your texting is enabled again. You're just going to go ahead and repeatedly tap to type. The first thing you're going to type out is love you too. Go ahead and send that. It should pop up on the screen. Now this right here is the reason I had you type the message out first, because I wanted the player to be hesitant about sending this text because of the name of the map. Up to this point, you have not seen the words be home in a bit referenced at all, but when you type out the 17 characters be home in a bit, they pop up, and in your mind, knowing that the name of the map is Be Home in a Bit, I wanted the player to be a little bit hesitant to send it because obviously that means something bad is about to happen. So after you type out Be Home in a Bit, you go ahead and send it, you wait 5 seconds, and you will be back in your truck. Go ahead and crouch. All you have to do is look left and you will get in the car crash, your screen will go black, and you will switch back to the mother's perspective, receiving the text from Simon. So here we go. As you can see, my screen went black, and I should get the text from Simon. I can read it, and it pops up with Be Home in a Bit. At that point, you're probably freaking out a little bit if that's not something you expected, but hopefully you understood what happened, and you're still able to follow who you're playing as. Anyway, head over here. You're going to have a conversation with Zach. You're going to say, Zach, honey, what do you want for dinner? I'll eat whatever you make, Mom. And then you're going to go and preheat the oven. Now, for Martha, this is the second time that her therapist actually interrupts her, and this time Martha is actually to answer some of her questions and have an actual conversation with Ava Crane. So you're gonna preheat the oven. It should pop up. Your therapist says, and then question mark. She says, do you remember what else happened, Martha? Also, I want to point out there is the buzzing, which means, you know, we're in present time. She's explaining what happened that day. He's no longer with us. Just keep an ear out for the buzzing. It happens a lot throughout the map. So when she asks, do you remember what happened? You're going to go ahead and respond with, I waited for so long, hours, and he never. Dr. Ava Crane is then going to respond with, you are so strong, Martha. I'm here for you. Do you remember what happened after waiting? Then you're going to respond. You're going to say, hours. I waited for hours and he never showed. I got a call from the hospital and then you have quite a long pause. It should say you begin to cry, and then she's going to readjust her position and ensure that everything is okay. Take a breath if you need to, Martha. We have plenty of time. I'm here when you're ready. Then you're going to say, I got a call from the hospital, and you're going to be back in present time, still playing as Martha. Except this time your son is sitting out at the table, and you're going to have a conversation with him really quickly. You ask, have you heard from your brother at all? He's not responding to any of my texts or calls. Zach, of course, is then going to reply with, no, I've called him 10 times. No answer. You're going to say, is he in some sort of club or anything like that? And then Zach is going to reply with, if he is, it's not something he's ever mentioned to me. You then say, he texted me and said he was headed home. I don't understand. And then you're going to see that in the right middle of the screen, the home phone is ringing. Now, this is where the map gets extremely intense and is a bit confusing, and I want to explain what happens before I actually do it. When you answer this home phone, a doctor picks up on the other line, basically explaining that her son is in the ICU and that he doesn't have long. Now, during this, you're switching back and forth between a black screen and a time, and what's happening during that is when your son is talking to you while you're on the phone, you can see the time, and when the doctor's talking to you, the screen is black, and the time is actually passing as you're having your conversation, and your son is overhearing, so every time he talks, the time goes forward a little bit, and the doctor eventually mentions that he has about 10 minutes if they can't stop the internal bleeding, and the time actually goes from 6:03 to 6:14, so that symbolizes those 10 minutes have passed and that he doesn't make it. Whew. That's a loaded explanation, but I hope you got all that. Anyway, go ahead and answer the phone, and then we'll see what else happens. You're gonna say, hello, and then, hello, is this Miss Martha Fillmore? Yes. Who is this? Doctor's going to ask, is there anyone with you right now, Miss Fillmore? Frustrated, you are going to respond with, yes, I'm with my son. Who is this? He's going to say, my name is Dr. Gordman. I work at the Black Forest Hospital. Then he is going to say, Miss Fillmore, you may want to sit down. And this is when the intenseness happens. I'll just let you guys watch it. You can see the time is now 6:04. Simon starts to overhear what the doctor is saying. You can see now that the time is 6:07 and the screen is being blackened. He explains that the internal bleeding is overwhelming because of the crash. You can see the screen is almost completely black now. It is now 6:10. Remember, we started at 6:03. You see it has maybe 10 minutes. It is 6:14, and then the doctor says, "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Fillmore," and the text "be home in a bit" pops up. It also goes completely silent for just a little bit. Notice the buzzing has returned, and you are actually back in the first house you started in, which is kind of crazy. Basically what happened is you kind of saw a prequel of what was going to happen later in the map. It was meant to confuse you because we're actually going to have a conversation with our mom now, but it was meant to kind of introduce what's going to happen without actually playing out what's going to happen. Oh yeah, also forgot to mention that the fire is even out in this house because Simon is no longer with us. So go up to your mom, and you're actually going to say the same thing you did at the start of the map, except you're going to have a conversation. "There was nothing you could have done, Mom." She is going to reply with, "I shouldn't have texted him, he got distracted." Which with you are going to reply, "You couldn't have known he was driving, Mom. It's not your fault." And then she says, "He would still be here if I didn't text him that day." And then of course you reply with, "Don't say that, Mom. Don't say that." And then she is going to say nothing, and then you're going to get interrupted by your therapist because you're playing as Zach right now. He is going to say, "And how is she now?" And then you are going to be back at therapy in present time as Zach, and this is where you guys have a really long conversation, and this is the session that is affected by the decision you made, like what you said to your brother, the last thing you said. It will affect this therapy session. So he asks, "How is she?" and you reply with, She just lost it. She didn't come out of her room for days after he passed. She would just scream and cry for hours at a time. When she'd lose her voice, she would just wait till it came back and start again. Your therapist asks, "I'm so sorry to hear that. Does she still just sit in her room?" And you reply with, "No. I admitted her to a psych ward just down the road. She was destroying some of her old paintings. I was afraid she was eventually going to, I just didn't want her to be in any danger. They take good care of her over there." So hopefully after reading those lines you understand that your mother, Martha, is in a psych ward. It's why the walls are actually padded how they are, because it's a room designed so you can't actually hurt yourself, because like he said, he was destroying some of her old paintings. He didn't want her to destroy any part of her, so he put her in the psych ward. Dr. James says, "Does she feel guilty for what happened to Simon?" And you reply with, "We both do. But she blames herself because she's the one that texted him. I tell her every day it's not her fault, but she feels nothing but guilt. I just wish I would have told him I loved him. I miss him so much." Dr. James readjusts, and then he says, "Do you remember the last thing you said to him? And depending on what you said, the therapy session will now change." If you remember, I said, "See you later, little man," so this is the session that I get. I just said, "See you later, little man." Dr. James asks, "Was little man just what you called him? No negative connotations associated with it?" Of course, you reply with, "Yeah, I just called him that because he was my younger brother. Never meant anything negative by it. Still wish I would have told him I loved him, though." Dr. James will go ahead and readjust. He will say, "Well, it sounds like you had a solid relationship with your brother. No one can ever take that away from you." He then goes on to ask you about your mother and says, "So, do you visit your mother often?" Which you reply to, "Yeah, I just visited her this morning," and we actually get this really depressing shot of her alone in her little therapy room. You can see she's sitting right there. He says, "I'm so sorry this happened to us, Mom. I love you so much." And then your therapist will intervene again, saying that you guys should take a break. You see he says, "Let's take a break, Zach. Grab some water if you need. I'll be right back." To which you will then be back in the office, except this time in third person. If you can still hear the buzzing, that's because he's still not with us, and I want you to keep that in mind for the end of the map. So go ahead and drink your water, and after you drink your water, you have to wait about 20 seconds. But after 20 seconds, this door will open, and this is where, if you're on next-gen consoles, you probably won't be able to do the parkour. Again, I really want to apologize, but it just looked too good. If your game was normal, or I guess had worse graphics, it just looked too good and I wasn't willing to change it, so I really am sorry. Anyway, warning for the bright lights. I'm gonna go ahead and open the door, and you can walk out, and you see he says, "What is this? Where am I?" And of course there's this little note here telling you to let the actual dialogue finish before you finish the parkour, because it messes up how it's all timed. And yeah, so you can see we could just start doing a little parkour here. It's kind of difficult because you can't actually sprint. Just be careful. You're gonna say, "Oh my god, Simon, is that you?" And you can see that he's actually sitting right there on a park bench. When you go up to him though, he will disappear, and you will say, no, Simon, where did you go?" And he actually reappears up on his bed over there. So just continue to do the parkour. I'll try and get close to him so you guys can can see what he actually looks like. Basically, every time you get close to him, he then disappears. You can see he's kind of curled up right there, sitting on his bed. Some of the mom's paintings are there. Some of the mom's paintings were back there. I did show you, but it's like, that's the tree, and those are the 3 on the wall. But yeah, he's just sitting curled on his bed, and once you jump to this one, he will then disappear again. And this is where the dialogue happens. You say, no, what is happening, Simon? Please don't leave. And Simon will say, you know, Zach, it doesn't last long. Wait, Simon, where are you? Why do you keep disappearing? I was hardly in any pain, was knocked unconscious immediately. How am I talking to you? What is this? Simon, please. What? You think I have to be with you physically for you to talk to me? No, I mean, but Simon, you're not with us anymore. You can say I'm dead, Zach. It won't offend me. And then Simon chuckles. But how can I hear you, see you, talk with you? Zach, I'm not what you need to be worried about right now. Mom needs you now more than she ever has. She won't stop blaming herself what happened to you, Simon. What do I have to do? That's for you to figure out, Zach. You know her better than anyone. I've got to go now. Tell Mom I said I love her. Then the last thing you say is, wait, no, Simon, please wait. I never got to say I love you. And then Simon will exit. Just continue to the parkour. It's not too difficult. I mean, it might be for some people. You can see there's the blacked out photo where he is no longer with you guys, and he is actually sitting up on a ledge right there. Her paintings again are in the background. You can see he's kind of kicking his feet, and when you jump to this tile, you can actually avoid blowing him up. You can see him from a side angle there, but when you move forward, he disappears, and there are a couple other cool aesthetics. Down there is actually the mother's therapy room with the light and both the chairs and the table, and right here is Zach's therapy room, so you can see both of those in this little mental state. That is one thing I want to mention, is that right now this is not actually happening. This is just Zach's mind wandering off because of the anxiety meds, and you'll see what happens in just a little bit. Continue to do the parkour. This is the last part you will see Simon. He's sitting there with his phone, and it says be home in a bit, and once you get to him, of course, he then disappears. There's only a couple more symbols left. Hopefully you guys will be able to see him. I could show him off well. The dining room table is actually just above us, so let me get up to here so you guys can see it. Yeah, there's the dining room table. The reason I wanted to put the dining room table in Zach's thoughts is because it's such a key to the map. You guys had your last conversation at the dining room table. Same with your mother. The last thing she said to him was at the dining room table. It is a staple for the map, and it's the reason it's in this little mind area with all these black squares. Anyway, the squares will start to get a little bit thinner once you get up here. There should be the be home in a bit text. Again, you can see it's right there with the black background. The same thing that he said. And as these jumps come to a close, you should teleport. The background noise should go completely silent, and you will have a conversation with your brother. Wait. Where'd the path go? Am I alone? Being alone just means you're by yourself, Zach. Feeling alone is something that isn't dependent on loneliness. People can have as many friends as there are days in a year. Guarantee they're some of the loneliest people you'll ever meet. What are you trying to say, Simon? You need to remember, it's okay to be alone, as long as you don't feel alone. Right now, it's hard to feel anything but loneliness, Simon. I'm always with you, Zach. I'm always with you. And then you will say, it just doesn't feel like it, Simon. It doesn't feel like it. He'll say your name, Zach. What, Simon? Zach. I'm still here, Simon. What? Zach? And you will then wake up from you being kind of in a trance and zoned out. So the last part where it was Simon saying Zach was actually your therapist saying Zach the whole time, making sure you didn't die or whatever, but your therapist then says, Zach, oh, sorry, didn't mean to startle you. I think you zoned out there for a sec. I wanted to let you know that we're out of time. You did excellent today. Remember, you can call me anytime you're feeling lonely, okay? Same time next week? Now, there's a lot happening in this part, and if you caught all of it, my hat's off to you, because not all of it is easy to catch. First thing is that your therapist mentions if you're feeling lonely, you can call him anytime, and your brother just gave you a whole lecture on the difference between being alone and feeling alone, and that's going to merit your response to what he just said, which is why it's the last thing you say, but I'll get into that in just a second. Also, what you might notice is that the buzzing is no longer here, because your brother also mentioned that it doesn't matter if he's with you physically, he is always with you. So the buzzing has disappeared, because even though he's technically not physically with him, he is still always with him. But yeah, that's the little thing. If you missed that, I don't blame you. It is extremely hard to notice because you might not have noticed the buzzing earlier in the map. But yeah, the buzzing is no longer here because your brother lectured you that he is still with you even though he's not with you physically. But yeah, let's move on to the end credits scene. Anyway, because Dr. James says you can call him anytime you're feeling lonely, your response is going to be, you know, it's funny you should say that. And then the map ends. Enjoy the end credits. hopefully you guys enjoyed that song. That was Where Is My Mind, the piano version. Big shout out to Eternal Codex for helping me out with the song. I think it really brought together the end of the map with the end credits scene. Hopefully you also enjoyed the end credits scene. That was my first time trying anything like that, so hopefully you got, you know, a nice message and you got to see your decision. It actually showed you what your decision was. You could see mine said, "See you later, little man." So hopefully, yeah, you enjoyed that. Now I want to read this because this is the main message of the map. This is extremely important, and this is the point I wanted to get across with the map. So I'll just go ahead and read it. It says, "Hey, before you leave, one, I want to thank you for playing. You all genuinely mean the world to me." That is the most true statement out there. You guys do genuinely mean the world to me. I wouldn't be doing this stuff if it wasn't for you guys, and I do thank you so much for playing and supporting me. Two, your mental health is extremely important, and I want you to know that if you ever need someone to talk to, I'll be there for you. That second sentence is also extremely true. Your mental health is and should be your #1 priority, and then worry about everything else. If your mental health is out of tact, you need to get it up. And I will always be here to help you if you are struggling with anything, whether it be the loss of a family member or something else. You are loved, you are appreciated, and you are amazing. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. And hey, do me a favor. Go let someone know how much they mean to you, because you might not have the chance to tomorrow. After you're done with the end credits scene, playing the entire map, and reading all of this stuff, you can then end the game. In 2 seconds, the game will end, and you get this lovely screen that says, "Here's to love." And yeah, there you have it. That was my newest map. The sad short story, Be Home in a Bit. I want to give a special shout out to Blank Affinity because he really did help me with the storytelling and story writing. He is a poet and he's extremely intelligent, and if it wasn't for him, the story would not have been as good as it was. He also did a lot of checking of my grammar because I'm not the most intelligent human being, so special shout out to him, and special shout out to Eternal Codex for doing the music because it was amazing. Anyway guys, that was Be Home in a Bit. I hope you got some of the symbolism that was hidden in the map. I hope I helped you to understand. I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, this has been Syntax. Later.